Welcome back to Trucking and Politics. So, I guess you read the headline, and no, I'm not dying. I'm going to get right to the point. It's not clickbait. It's not clickbait, but I'm not dying. Uh, I only have 3 to 5 years left. What does that mean for me, you, the channel, whatever, trucking? What am I talking about? 3 to 5 years left. I have been secretly watching this guy on YouTube that is planning his exit from trucking and YouTube. Well, trucking anyway. He says that he's not planning an exit from YouTube, but he's planning an exit from trucking, and he's going into a different life. He's getting out of trucking and doing something else. um, a lot of times I don't talk about personal on here. I try to keep it trucking and politics, a little, professional, I guess you could say, but I'm not really a professional type person. But anyway, um, 3 to 5 years. Um, this has happened to me a couple of times in my life. When I worked at the retail store, I worked there for 10 years. When I started working there, I really enjoyed working there. And I was just low level floor sweep, stocker, bag boy, shopping cart getter. And I moved my way up. I moved my way up into the ranks into assistant manager. I was second in charge assistant manager of the store. Well, you guys, I've told that story 1,000 times on here. Walmart came in and basically shut that store down and said that was it. We're taking over. You're getting too much of the uh, clientele of this town, so they made it a point to shut our store down, and they did, and they were successful doing it. Um, I see the same thing happening with trucking. I see the same thing happening because I'm not going to make excuses, folks. I made a lot of mistakes myself, is why I'm no longer an owner operator. I made a lot of mistakes myself. And there's another YouTuber that I know that I talk to frequently. It looks like he's no longer going to be a trucker either because he had some mistakes that he had made, and it looks like he's going out of business. He's not going to be a independent owner operator anymore. Um, I have a couple of more friends that's you know hanging on by one claw, just barely hanging on. Between corporate trucking and this new influx of immigrants and illegals, I'll just be frank, a lot of them are illegally here, and they're illegal in trucks on the road. And from what we've been hearing here lately with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and the ATA, they don't give a shit. So what that they're here? So what that they're illegal? I put on my community post, if you'll look at that, uh, it was a screenshot from the ATA saying that this report of millions of illegals flooding into trucking is not true. Well, what they said is true. There's not millions, but there's probably close to 1 million. See how they slide under the radar with stuff like that? No, this is false. There's not millions of illegals and immigrants in the trucking industry, but you see that they didn't say thousands or hundreds of thousands or close to 1 million. They don't want to tell the truth. They're a bunch of liars. And the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is letting these people work in this country, and they don't really care if they're legal or illegal either. Whatever the ATA says, whatever the big corporate trucking companies say, that's what we go with. And for the longest, I have not been successful, in my opinion, of getting a lot of truck drivers together to push back on this. Some bigger channels, I think, could do a lot more than what they are doing. You guys know the bigger channels that are out there, and they act like they don't care either. So what does 3 to 5 years have to do with? Well, I'm just going to be putting the information out here as much as I can, as much reach as I can get about what's going on in trucking. What would make trucking better if we went back to having a Caterpillar 3406 E model in trucks? I have a friend, Scott. He's been on the channel with me before. He's been here for a long time on this channel. He told me just the other day he got 6.8 miles per gallon out of a 3406 E model Cat in a 98 model truck. This truck right here is a 2021 Cascadia with a DD15 and an automatic transmission, 6.8 miles per gallon. We're exactly the same. There has been no progress in fuel mileage in what, 20 some odd years? What would that be? 24, 25 years difference in year model of trucks here, and no progress. But they have the DAF system, which cost an arm and a leg to get repaired. They have EGR coolers, EGR valves, these high pressure fuel rails. Nobody can work on this truck. You've got to be a certified technician with a computer program to work on this truck. It's got computer modules everywhere. When you turn the key on, you can hear all the modules clicking and popping, talking to one another. And you've got a 98 model truck with a 3406 E model Cat getting the same fuel mileage. What emissions is coming out of the tailpipe on this as opposed to that Volvo? Very little. The truth of the matter is very little difference. Very little. The government is lying to you. The government is lying to me. The government is lying to everyone. They are answering to corporate trucking. They are answering to corporate trucking. They are giving them what they want and making it as hard as possible on owner-operators, independents, and small trucking companies. And they're winning. Over 200,000 trucking companies are going out of business. One of the ones that hurt me so much to see was this company out of Michigan, Equity Transportation, has shut down or has filed for bankruptcy. I don't know if they've shut down, but they've filed for bankruptcy. I used to work for that company. I spent about 5 years with them. First time I ever drove a Kenworth W9 was with Equity Transportation. First time I ever went to Denver, Colorado, Equity Transportation. First time I ever got snowed in at a truck stop, Hazleton, Pennsylvania, up on the plateau. 4 feet of snow in the parking lot. They had to get the plows out and the front end loaders to scoop the snow out where we could get out. First time I ever got snowed in a semi truck was with Equity Transportation. First time I was ever allowed to be an outlaw trucker was with Equity Transportation. Now it's gone. I hope your corporate companies are getting what you like. You're ruining our lives. You're destroying memories. For what? So you can get bigger and stronger. Well, I hope you're happy. Because you are destroying trucking. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is destroying trucking. The ATA is destroying trucking. So what does all this have to do with that I have 3 to 5 years? I have set a personal goal for myself of 3 to 5 years to be out of trucking. Here in June of this year, I'll be 55 years old. I have been in trucking for 25 years. I want to retire. I want to be out. I want to be done. Why am I talking about stocks? Why am I talking about my gains in stocks? Why am I trying to share this information with you? Because that is helping me to find my way out. With this trucking job, with investments, with stocks, with budgeting, money management, I'm looking for my way out. In 3 to 5 years, I want to be out of trucking. I talked to a good friend of mine that has been in trucking for 35 years. I had known this guy for a long time, 15 years or so. And I told him about the channel, and I told him about what I wanted to do to help truck drivers out, to get truck drivers together, to get everybody on the same page, to push back on these corporate companies, to get trucking back to the way that it used to be. You know, it's going to take a monumental effort. Each day we get by without getting together to push back on this is another day lost in the battle. That's the way I see it. That's the way I feel about it. And I brought it all up to him, and he said, you know what? He's real country, by the way, and he was like, you know what, Bubba? Another 3 to 5 years and I'm gone. I don't care what happens to trucking. That'll be somebody else's problem. I couldn't believe the words that came out of his mouth. I just absolutely couldn't believe the words out of his mouth. But it kind of mirrors what I'm saying now. 3 to 5 years, I'd like to be out of trucking too. The difference is, I do care what happens to trucking. 3 to 5 years, I'd like to be out. In 3 to 5 years, I would like to see trucking make a massive turnaround. A massive turnaround. Get rid of all this emissions, get rid of all of these computers, get rid of all these proprietary systems that only dealerships can work on. Why can't we, as a free citizen, have a 3406 E model cat in a truck that gets 6.8 miles to the gallon, the same as this piece of plastic shit that I'm driving. Why can't we build them again? Because the government and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the ATA, and corporate trucking says no, you can't have it. Well, the last time I checked, it was we the people, not them the rulers. I think that's what we fought a little war for back in 1700s, to put them the people, them the government, them the rulers in their place. And now it's all come back around to where we're answering to them again. It's not right, and it's not the way that it's supposed to be. We should have freedom of choice. If we want to walk down to a dealership, we don't have a vehicle, and the dealership's right down the corner, and we want to walk down there and say, hey, I want this truck, and I want a 3406 E model cat in it. Say you don't want a cat, put a 12.7 Detroit in it. That'll be fine. With a 13-speed manual, let me know when it'll be done, and I'll come pick it up. You don't have that option now. You don't have it. You can't even buy a glider kit and let somebody else put that engine in for you. They shut Fitzgerald's down. What was the other company? D&B that was doing it. Thompson Cat was doing it. They shut them all down. Nope, you can't do that. It's not allowed. We're not going to let you. And what has it done? It is just added to the decay and rot in the industry. That's what it's done. I look around and I see these plastic piece of shit trucks, and I just shake my head. They got what they wanted. They finally got what they wanted. The rulers got what they wanted, and the truck drivers sat back and allowed them to do it. Yep. Yep. I've got 3 to 5 years left. I do. I'm getting old. I've got 3 to 5 years left. I'm going to be hitting it harder than I've ever hit it in my life in trucking. Because they say once you get trucking in you, it's hard to get trucking out of you. And I'm going to have to work harder than I've ever worked to get trucking out of me. But I'll be happy when I do, and I actually get to retire. I may still be in trucking. I may do part-time or something, do local work or something like that. Don't know what I'll do. I don't know if I'll ever fully retire, because I've always been a worker. I started working at 12 years old, and I've been working ever since. I mean, I don't know what else I would do if I didn't work. But as far as financial situation and working to, create an income for myself, hopefully in 3 to 5 years, that won't be as big of an issue as it has been. So, the only thing I can say, folks, is if you want the change, then make the change happen. I'm not too happy about Trump's pick for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Not too happy about it. I don't think anyone is. I'm not happy that the ATA went down to Arkansas and contradicted the rule that would keep the illegals off of the road in Arkansas. I don't like that. But, where there's money, there's power. And where there's power, there's control. And when there's money, power, control, there's greed. So they're flexing their greedy muscles down there. And it's not right. It's not right. There's a lot of things that are not right. I myself, I've got 3 to 5 years left. I'm going to be trying harder than ever to get out of trucking. And I don't know, does it do any good to get on here and talk? Does it do any good to get on here and say my opinion? There's probably a lot of people like me that they would like to get out. You know, it's not going to take a whole lot of money, but it's going to take a considerable amount to get me out of trucking. And I think in 3 to 5 years, I could probably accomplish it if I keep my nose down and I keep working and we keep budgeting the way that we're budgeting now. 3 to 5 years, I think, is achievable. But what then? Do I just be like my buddy? And 3 to 5 years, I'm out. I don't care what happens to trucking. That's what he said. He's been in trucking longer than me. Is that what everybody's opinion is? Let's just get out and we don't care what happens? This will be the last generation of truck drivers. From now on, they could be all automated self-driving trucks. We don't care. We're out. Leave it up to the immigrants and the illegals and the self-driving trucks. Is that the way you want to leave it? If so, then let's get busy doing some money management. Let's do stocks investing or whatever, and throw our hands up and say the hell with it. Works for me. Works for me. I just feel like there's a lot of truck drivers out there that would like to leave it better than they found it, and I'm one of those. Anyway, food for thought. I got 3 to 5 years left. How about you? Is that where you're at? 3 to 5 years and you're out? You don't care? Hey, let's go retire somewhere. If that's the way it's going to be, we'll just leave it up to somebody else to decide. Kind of sounds like it's already being decided for us, doesn't it? Anyway, you guys be safe out there. Look out for each other. Take care of yourself. We'll catch you on the next one.